Hello and welcome to another YouTube video by Network Prodigy. Here what I will do is introduce you to two types of VPNs, a site-to-site VPN and a remote access VPN. Now the goal of this YouTube video is to help you understand what a site-to-site VPN is and understand what a remote access VPN is. And you'll see what's the difference between the two. Now what we're going to discuss in this video will be covered on the new CCNA. So here I'm at Cisco's website, and if I scroll down, you're going to see that the new CCNA right here, 200-301. If I click on it, this is going to allow me to see what topics are on the blueprint. So if I scroll down and I click on exam topics, we're going to see where site-to-site VPNs and remote access VPNs will actually be covered on the new CCNA. So if we scroll down, it's going to be under section 5.0, which is security fundamentals, which makes up 15% of the exam. And if we scroll down, we see here at 5.5, describe remote access and site-to-site VPNs. So if you're studying right now for the new CCNA, this tutorial is going to be very helpful for you. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what is a VPN? And VPN stands for virtual private network. It's a network that you build over a public network between two private networks. And it allows users on those private networks to share data over the public network as if they were connected on a private network. So to kind of explain how that is, let's just say we have a local network right here. Now we know that this local network would be private. Now this private network or this local network is going to have a connection to some router. And this router is going to have a connection to the internet. Now we know that the internet is a public network, right? So we got one local network over here. What if we had another local network over here? Now, this local area network is also going to be private. It's also going to have a router that's connected to it, and this router also has a connection to the public internet. So let's just say that Bob happens to connect to this local network. Well, since this local network has a connection to a router that connects to the internet, Bob can, for example, get to Google if he needed to. Now, what if Sally is connected to this local network here? Well, she would also be able to connect to Google because this local network has a router that connects them to the public internet where Google is located. But let me ask you this. What if Sally wants to send some data to Bob? Or what if Bob wants to send some data to Sally? Well, here's the problem you run into. Both Bob and Sally are connected to private networks, which means they're going to have private IP addresses. So for example, Sally can have 10.10.10.1 and Bob is maybe at 192.168.10.1. Now, if Sally is trying to send this traffic to Bob, if we try to send this traffic over the public internet, the internet is going to drop it, because you cannot communicate over the internet with private IP addresses, which Bob and Sally both have. Now you can do some network address translation, or what we call NAT, but the problem is you would have to know what the public IP is that Bob is using. And then you would have to configure the application, whatever it is Sally is using, to send the data to Bob's public IP, or you would have to do what we call destination NAT on your router, so that as the traffic is coming into the router not only is going to translate Sally's IP address to a public one, it's going to translate Bob's IP address to the public IP as well, which is just going to lead to a lot more work. So in order to kind of get around this problem, what we can do is build a VPN tunnel between the two routers. Because here's the deal. Both of the routers, the internet or the interfaces that connect to the internet, these are going to have public IP addresses on them. which means that these routers can then communicate with each other over the internet. And what they're going to do is they're going to build a VPN tunnel between them. And now they're going to tunnel the traffic between each other over the internet. And essentially what happens is when the router receives data from Sally going to Bob, the router then sends it over the tunnel, and then it comes out at this router. And then the router ends up forwarding the traffic over to Bob. And then when Bob has to send traffic back, it hits the router. The router is going to send it through the tunnel that has been built to this router over the internet. And when it comes out at this router, the router then forwards it on to the local network, and it ends up getting to Sally. Now, how this tunnel is built and how the data gets sent over this tunnel, we're going to save for a future video, because I don't want to confuse you too much, because it is a little bit technical. I just want you to understand the concept of a VPN. It's just a private tunnel that you build between two private networks over a public network like the internet. And then anytime you want to send data between the private networks, you use the VPN that's been built. So this VPN is interconnecting the two private networks over a public network like the internet. So let's start with the first VPN, which is a site-to-site VPN. This is a virtual private network between two sites, hence the name site-to-site. Now this type of VPN is identical to the one we talked about in the previous tutorial. So we have a headquarters office. They have a local network, which we know this is going to be private. And they have some type of router who has a connection to the internet, which we know the internet is public. Now you also have a branch office. Let's just say this is branch number 1. That has a local network, which we know this is private. They have a router that's connected to the local network as well as connected to the internet. Now we can have Bob plugged into the local network, and we can have John plugged into the branch network. If they want to be able to send data between each other, it can't get sent over the internet, because we cannot send data with private addressing over the internet. So what we would have to do is build a VPN tunnel between the two routers. And this is why it's a site to site, because it's a VPN between headquarters, which would be site 1, and branch number 1, which would be site 2. So this is the VPN connection that you're building between the two sites over the internet. So now as traffic comes from Bob, hits the router can then send it over the tunnel to branch office number 1. And when the router at branch office number 1 gets it, he can forward it onto the network over to John. And when John sends traffic back, it hits the local network, goes to the router. The router is going to know to send it over the tunnel to the headquarters office. So it arrives at the headquarters router, and then the router forwards it onto the network to Bob. So this is a site-to-site VPN. It's just a VPN between two sites. Now, we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about how the tunnel gets built and how the encapsulation works. But when we're building the VPN, it's two options that we're going to use. We're either going to build a GRE tunnel, or we're going to build an IPsec tunnel. So this VPN that you see right here, this is really just a tunnel. And it's either going to be GRE or IPsec. We prefer IPsec because it's more secure, because IPsec does encryption. But in the future video, we're going to kind of go into how the tunnels get built, how the encapsulation is done if we're using GRE or IPsec, so we can then tunnel the data over the internet between the two sites so that Bob can talk to John. But this is what a site-to-site VPN would look like. It's just a VPN between two sites. So if you had branch number 2 that was up here, you couldn't use this tunnel to send data to branch 2. So for example, if John was wanting to talk to Tammy, who was over here at branch 2, I couldn't send the traffic out of the tunnel going to the headquarters office and expect it to land at branch 2. Okay, what I would need to do is either build a separate site-to-site tunnel between branch number 1 and branch number 2, or I would need to build a site-to-site tunnel between headquarters and branch number 2. So that when branch number 1 sends the traffic to headquarters, headquarters can then forward it over the tunnel to branch number 2. But branch number 1 would not be able to use this tunnel to send traffic to branch number 2. It will only be able to go to the headquarters office, and then the headquarters office will have to send it to branch number 2. But this is what a site-to-site VPN is. And then we have the second type, which is a remote access VPN. A remote access VPN is what allows you to connect to a private network from a remote location using your laptop, your desktop computer, or any other supported device like a cell phone. So remote access VPN is what allows everybody to be able to work from home, especially during times like this where we're experiencing a pandemic. Everybody is closing down their offices and everybody's working from home. So here's how it works. This is the office right here. All right. And at the office, you have your local network. Now, when you come into work, this is you right here. You're going to plug into this local network. And when you plug into this local network, you're able to get access to a lot of different resources. Like you can get access to different servers. You can get access to your applications that you use for work. You can get access to your email. You can get access to your instant messaging, right? So you get access to all of these different resources, and you're able to send data between you and your colleagues while you're here at the office. But what happens when you get home? Like how everybody is right now, everybody's working from home, but you still need to be able to get access to your instant messaging. You still need to be able to get access to your email. You still need to be able to get access to applications and servers as if you were connected at the network in the office. You need to be able to do all of that from the comfort of your own home. And this is what a remote access VPN allows. And it's not just from home, it can be from any remote location that has an internet connection. It can be from Starbucks, the gym, the hotel, your mom and dad's house. It can be literally from anywhere. Like I remember one time I had to connect back to the network at work because we had a network outage, and I was at a bar. Like I was out having drinks with my friends. I just happened to be on call that week, and they called me. It was like, hey man, we having issues. Can you check? And I didn't have time to drive all the way into the office. I had to pull up my laptop and I connected to the VPN, which got me on the network, and I was able to do what I needed to do. So here's how it works. The local network at the office, we know, has a router. The router connects to the local network as well as to the internet. And I should change that because when you're building a remote access VPN, this isn't going to be a router. This is actually going to be a firewall. So your firewall is connected to the local network, but it's going to have some type of connection to the internet. And this interface right here, this is where your public IP is going to be configured. So your firewall is going to have a public IP that allows it to be reachable from the internet. So you connect to the internet from any remote location, you're able to hit the public IP of your firewall. So let's just say you're at home and you're on your laptop right here. Now your laptop is going to have some type of modem or router, right? And this modem or router is going to connect to the internet. Now, when your laptop connects to the modem or the router, this is what gives you access to the internet, which means you can then hit the public IP of this firewall. And here's what happens. You're going to have some type of VPN client on your laptop. If you're using Cisco, it's called AnyConnect. And what this software allows you to do is build a VPN tunnel between your laptop and the firewall. So this is your VPN tunnel right here. Now, being that you build this VPN tunnel between your laptop and the firewall, now you can get access to all of the resources that are on the local network at the office. And you can get access to all of these resources as if you were plugged directly into the local network at the office, even though you're at home, or even though you're at the gym, or even though you're at the hotel or the airport. So this is what a remote access VPN does. And again, this is how everybody is able to work from home. All you have to do is connect to the VPN that's been configured. And once you're on the VPN, you can get access to everything. And again, it doesn't matter where you are. As long as you have a internet connection and you're able to get to the public IP of this firewall, you can VPN into the firewall and then get access to the network at work from your house. Like, how cool is that? Like, just think for a second how many businesses would be in total chaos right now if people couldn't work from home. So shout out to all of the network engineers who stay up late, troubleshooting VPN connection issues or building VPNs so that people can work from home. Like, people don't understand what we do behind the scenes to make everybody's lives so much better. Like, IT, especially network engineers, we are so valuable. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm a network engineer. I'm just saying that we are valuable. We are valuable. So let's just do a quick review of what I just went over. We first went over a site-to-site VPN, which a site-to-site VPN builds a VPN between two sites. So you have a headquarters office and a branch office. So if John was in your branch office and he's trying to get to Bob or some other resource at the headquarters office, all you're going to do is build this VPN between the headquarters office and the branch office. Now John can talk to Bob, or he can get to any other resource at the headquarters office. So this is just a VPN connection between two sites. So if John wanted to get to any resource at the headquarters office, he would need to connect to the network at the branch office. Now, a remote access VPN is what's going to allow John or Bob to access the corporate network, which is the network at the job, from their laptop or any type of remote location that has an internet connection. Now, here's the deal. If John works out of the branch office, he may not be able to VPN into the branch office, but he can VPN into the headquarters office from home on his laptop or any type of device that supports it. And then once he VPNs into the headquarters office, now he can get access to any resource that's on the headquarters office. And then if you have a VPN that's been built between the headquarters office and the branch office, John can VPN into the headquarters office, use the tunnel that's been built between headquarters and his branch office, and now he can get access to any resource that's on the branch office, all because of a remote access VPN. And again, you can access the VPN from any remote location as long as it has an internet connection. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the difference between a site-to-site VPN and a remote access VPN. And in the future tutorial, I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you how to build a GRE tunnel, how to build an IPsec tunnel, and then what does the encapsulation look like if we're doing GRE versus IPsec. So stay tuned for that tutorial.